So hey guys, I hope all is well. I am joined by my really, really dear friend, Nolan North. Most people may know him from Uncharted as Nathan Drake and loads of other things. I would literally be here all day if I mentioned every single thing he was in. So Nolan, how have you been? It's been a hot minute.
It has. I've been great. We all kind of muddled through the pandemic, and it seems like we're coming out the other end of it now, which is nice. And it's exciting to do this. It's kind of like a nice little way to triumphant return to the UK to say hi to everybody, because I'm going to be in Liverpool this weekend and then London the following weekend.
Yeah.
For Comic-Cons, and I'm so looking forward to it because, as you probably know, London and England is just like one of my favorite places to visit. So I'm really excited to be able to go over there, see some friends, some of the fans, and just have a good time. So yes, everything's been very, very good.
So how did you deal with the pandemic? I know that a lot of people, I know as voice actors especially, it's somewhat easy with the setup, I guess, because you're kind of set up in your house, but is it a bit of a challenge in some ways?
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least, because there's always been people who have had home setups. I wasn't one of those people because I enjoy going to the studios. I see the engineers, see the directors, other actors. A lot of times, for certain projects that we actually would record together. It was always good, the camaraderie and the fun. So when the pandemic hit, I had to build a booth in my house, like a lot of people. And I was very, very fortunate to be in this part of the business where I didn't lose my job. I didn't lose my source of income. And gained the added bonus of, being able to work in my pajamas. So, I did have a move to left Los Angeles about a year ago now for Atlanta, and where I was able to build an actual full-on, proper good size sound booth and studio to do all the work, because over the year or more of COVID, I learned that we can record from anywhere, and it's pretty much just a good mic, a preamp, and a laptop. If just at the bare minimum, in a good soundproof room. A lot of people use their walk-in closets because the clothes are actual buffers for that kind of thing. So yeah, you make do. I've recorded things on the road for jobs just over my phone, and they can do some great stuff with it. I think the biggest adjustment has just been, everything is Zoom now. Everything is you get to see your friends on Zoom more than you see them in person. And it's one of the reasons I've really kind of have embraced a lot of the convention circuit again, because you get to see your friends. You get to hang out with your friends. I was with Rob Paulson and Billy West this past weekend in St. Louis. But, if it's, Kari Payton, I saw Kari Payton in Calgary. Troy Baker was up there. We got to see him, and then meet new friends. Like I had a bit of a fan moment myself in Calgary. I got to meet, God, I'm having these
brain
moments.
farts.
Yeah, brain farts. I'm having brain farts. Recently, Carl Weathers, who I've gotten to know a little bit, who actually directed me for a video game years and years ago. Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. Monty Python, Faulty Towers, John Cleese.
John Cleese, yeah.
Of course, the name just flew out of my head. I got to meet John Cleese, who's an absolute legend and a hero, and he could not have been lovelier. And it was, a lot of people who go to the conventions, a lot of fans out there who might be watching this, you need to know we're people too, and we have our kind of we get a little starstruck on certain people too. So it's like to have somebody like John Cleese, just sit there and tell me stories about Faulty Tower. It was an amazing moment for me. So So it's been nice. So that's how I've been getting along during this crazy time.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to hear that you're doing well in Georgia.
We just chose Georgia has a lot the whole television and film industry has been blowing up here for years, and it's still in its infancy, but there's over 20, I think it's 24 shows that are shooting down here. They have like 15, 16 movies are in production. All Marvel, Spider-Man was all shot here. All the Marvel stuff, they shoot a lot of it here, just about all of it. So it's a great place as an actor. It's great quality of life. There's rain. It's beautiful and green. In fact, my son's friend from England said he said, this city reminds me of England. He said, everything's so green and the trees are huge. And, it's got some weight to it. Just there's something just fantastic about nature that just does something for your soul. It just makes you feel good. And we got a nice little place here, and we go back and forth. I keep a place in Los Angeles where my older son lives, and it's a 2-bedroom, but one of them it's like, no, you have a 1-bedroom. That second bedroom is ours because my wife has to go back for work every now and then. I have to go back. So we have the best of both worlds is what it is right now. And just living our best life, as anybody can hope to try to do.
Yeah. Well, you've had such an incredible career. Like, you're still here doing such amazing stuff. You're in the Uncharted movie, which I'm still like, what's happening? But
by the way, that was what I was waiting for. That was my big surprise.
I thought so.
Because I should tell people that, you and I had planned to do this for 2 years, maybe.
Maybe 3, I'm thinking.
Maybe 3. I don't even know. It's been forever, and I felt terrible. Because the thing is like I didn't want to do. I get a lot of offers for certain podcasts, and I haven't done any except recently. Just this may be my second, and I think I have 2 more scheduled.
Yeah, your last one. I was talking to the girl that you were talking to on Instagram recently.
Yeah, Amber.
Yeah, I was chatting to her
so
there.
Amber had reached out through PJ Harsma at Retro Replay Fans, and I guess she had Frank Welker. She's has got a connection with Frank Welker, and about the same time we were scheduling hers, yours. I think I'm going to be doing Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan's podcast, and the Lovejoy, Tim Lovejoy podcast.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, there's been a few, but the thing is like I had been putting them off for so long because I didn't have anything new to say. I didn't have any new information. And when I knew the movie was coming out, I was like, that's what I'll wait, and I'll let Kay know that'll be a good one. And then everything just got so busy and it got so crazy. I wanted to do this back in February, so it'd be like, here's the thing, but here we are. We're finally doing it.
I remember.
And now I know that people like the movie or not, so it's actually better that I do it now.
Well, I remember when you sent me that message, you're not supposed to have your phones on at your work, but I took my phone out and was like, oh, Nolan sent this video message. He says he's got something planned. And then I was like, I guess, because I was like, well, the Uncharted movie is coming out in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So I was like sitting next to my friend who is a fan of yours as well. And he's like, oh, ask him this. And I'm like, okay. So I'm jotting down all these notes and I'm looking back at them recently. And I'm like, this isn't going to make any sense. This is like old news.
Yeah, no, that was the, and the funny thing is, I was sworn to secrecy. They really wanted to keep this a surprise. And then Tom Holland goes on Jacksepticeye's show, podcast, his site, and tells everybody. And it was just like, and then the reaction was like, well, of course he spoils it. I guess that's his MO for things.
I think at the same time, like, nobody was surprised because we're like, of course, no one's going to be in it somewhere, even if it's just going to be like a random photo on a bar or something like that. Like, we need to be somewhat involved.
Yeah, I had kind of, believe it or not, just said, no, I'm not. I don't want to do a cameo if it just doesn't make sense. Like it, like it has to have
a punchline.
Yeah, you just don't want that random guy going,
Like bumping into names.
Can I get you a drink? Just it's
Yeah.
like, what's the point of that? So it was interesting just to have, and funny thing is the way that the scene was just originally written, and the writers said it was just kind of placeholder, see what we thought. We did it a couple times, and it something about it didn't feel quite. It didn't feel enough of me passing the baton to the new young Nathan Drake, and we ended up coming up with what we came up with. Just a little nod, just like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, is that happened to me? So it's almost like, it's like, well, wait a minute, that's not Nathan, but it's like I love the Doctor Strange multiverse thing because it's kind of like, yeah, that's the multiverse. So I'm still Nathan Drake in my universe of gaming, and this is the film's version. Thought it was great, and I will say this, as I've said before. A lot of people can be critical of something they love so much, and they wanted this movie to be so good, and it may not be the same expectation, but I thought it was fantastic. I think just the whole concept of, keeping visiting the adventures of Nathan Drake in a decade, a time frame that we as gamers never got to experience. I think that makes it interesting. It makes it unique, and it's not taking away from anything that we did in the gaming space. It just kind of nods its head to it.
Yeah, so I remember you, especially in Retro Replay. Now you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but I remember when the Uncharted movie first kind of started to be talked about and stuff, and you're like, "Oh, I'm really, really not on board." What kind of changed, in your opinion, to get you going for it?
You mean when it first? Well, I think originally they had a couple of the ideas that I heard that they were going to do wasn't really Uncharted. Without going into specifics, the story and what they were going to go for wasn't an Uncharted movie. They were just taking the name and going, hey, let's make a movie. We'll call it Uncharted, and again, I wish I could tell more, but just trust me when I say that the story and what they wanted to do with the character wasn't true to the character, wasn't true to the stories. It was just like, we're going to use the name Uncharted to suck people in, and it's, and make money.
Yeah.
And I think that's worse than doing a one-to-one adaptation of, like, let's take Uncharted 2 and we'll make it a movie. It's like, no, the game's already a movie.
Yeah.
I think what they got right is Chuck Roven and Alex Gartner and the producers, and Ruben Fleischer, the director, really were able to capture the spirit of Uncharted, but did their own thing. And I think that was what was important. And when I heard what they were doing, and people didn't like the Tom Holland casting, I'm like, well, no, that makes sense. It's a younger Drake. He's a good actor. He's a great actor. He's a great athlete. He did a lot of those things, which brought a lot of realism. He's got the charm, and he was a fan of the games. He's played the games with his brothers and his friends. So, and he was into it. I think there's something to be said about an actor who's like, I really want to play this role, because this is as close to getting to play a modern day Indiana Jones as I'm ever going to get, and without being Indiana Jones, which you don't want to play Indiana Jones. You want to, because that's Harrison Ford, and everybody's always going to compare you, and you can't. And it's different when you're playing Indiana Jones as opposed to like Iron Man. Like in a video game space, to do Iron Man, I got to do my own Iron Man, because Iron Man's bigger, even though Robert Downey Jr. is my favorite Iron Man, he's my guy, he's known for that role. I was able to just do my own because this space. But, with like, Indiana Jones is just, it was able to, it'd be really difficult. You're going to be compared, and comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah,
Someone
I
would
remember
say.
that quote very well.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I think they really did something. They got enough of what we did and paid homage to that, and yet made their own. And they just found it, and they found the humor in it. A lot of the previous things were it was a little darker and it was a little edgier. And you want that pulp action laced in with humor. And I think that's a big testament to Ruben Fleischer, the director, who did such a great job. Like one of my favorite parts of the whole movie was Sully's cat. How Nay said, "Oh yeah, no, I got that for you. I got that for you. You seemed lonely," and then he falls for the cat. It's just like, yeah, but it's like that's something that we never did, but absolutely could have happened in the game. That's what I liked about it. If we had thought of it first, we probably would have done it.
Yeah, most likely.
I don't know who would mocap the cat though. That'd be tough.
I mean, I suppose you could pay the right person, they'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I hope they don't do method acting with it though.
Okay.
But yeah, so for your whole career, as I said, you've done this for such a long time. Has there been a role in particular that you've liked so much and really want to revisit it, but there's probably not going to be much of a chance to revisit?
Well, Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake, yeah. Besides Nathan Drake.
The one that I'd really like to revisit, and I've had conversations with Marvel, is Deadpool.
Yes.
The Deadpool video game was it was cut short because of budget and the economy at the time. So the game was shorter than it was supposed to be. There were elements that were taken out. There were things that they didn't think was acceptable that in this day and age would be acceptable. But it still had somehow became this cult hit that they remastered for the PlayStation 4. I mean, it's and now PS5, people can get that. And I just think, with the success that Ryan Reynolds has had with the movies, I don't understand why we can't get that done.
Back.
And I mean, I'm interested in I'd like to do a Deadpool game, and I'd like to act in it and direct it in the vein of an Uncharted. Do it in a narrative story. Make it like one of Ryan's movies, but a playable game. I think that would be a lot of fun. I know it's in a selfish way, it's just be so much fun for me because it's such a fun character. These characters that really have no limitations and no consequences to anything they do, and are a little tapped in the head, are always a challenge and a lot of fun for an actor. So I'm willing to, let's say, co-write, because I'm not technically a writer, but I have some ideas. Star and direct in it. I want to do it, and I've spoken with some people at Marvel, and I'm going to keep the conversations up and just see if I can't some way somehow make it happen. I think that'd be I think it needs to be done.
Yeah, no, that would be so good.
Yeah.
So do you remember what one of your first roles was like back in the day?
Yeah, the first one I ever did that I would say, well, the first one ever was something called Interstate 82.
Okay.
And I played a character named Hinckley, and it was an Activision game. And I remember going, and this is before I was even, I was bartending and waitering at the time. And it was the manager I had at the time. He sent me over on a Saturday, and it was an empty parking lot at Activision in Santa Monica, California. And looking through the windows, they're all blacked out, and knock on the door. Finally, somebody comes and gets me. We walk through, and it's everybody's day off. And I'm going, am I being pranked? What is this? And we get to the back, and there's this little booth, and there's just like two other guys there. And they just had the script, and they had heard that I, through a mutual friend, I guess, I don't know who it was, or maybe I sent in an audition, but it was just my Christopher Walken accent, just kind of like that impression. No, and I kind of did this Hinckley in this kind of vein. I don't even know the game, right? So, and I just did that. And I don't know, they probably gave me like $250 or something like that. It was just this weird, and the funny thing is, I was just like, it just seemed so amateur. I'm like, this is so weird. There's nobody here. What is going on? Anyway, that's all it was. It was just this, we did the job, took off. And it wasn't till, then I never got the game. I never didn't know anything about it. But that was technically the first video game that I ever did. The first professionally, like through my agent, was Maximo versus the Army of Zin, and I played the Baron. And I've never heard of it before or ever since, but I remember that one so well because typically when you record with an engineer, you're in the booth, and then there's usually like a panel of glass, and the engineer and the director sit on the other side, and they talk you through your headphones. And this particular place is called Sound Deluxe. It was on La Brea and Hollywood Boulevard, right on the corner in this office building. But I was in this room with a little camera and a microphone in the middle of the room. That's it. And they were down the hall. The engineer and the directors were down the hall, still spoke, but you're just kind of like, again, second game ever. And I feel like I'm being pranked. Like, am I in a room yelling like some baron? And anyway, but that was the first game I ever did that, they sent me a copy and agents, and it was like a SAG actual, acting contract. And so legit professional deal, where the other one was sort of like, come on in on Saturday and do some, but it was made, it was distributed and sold. So, it's one of those two are both technically my first.
Wow, that's so cool.
And it's, what I love about it? I love that I remember that so well. I remember the details of those. Now, if you ask me like something in the middle, I'll forget all about it. But no, those were the, I remember the first ones.
Yeah. Well, I had to write this down because I knew I'm so bad with names and I knew I was going to forget. But I knew back in the day that you did college baseball. Yeah. And so my friend Rob Leoff, who plays John Marston in Red Dead.
Good, my buddy. I know Rob real well. Yeah.
So he messaged me and asked me specifically to ask this question.
Rob did?
He was like, I hope he's okay with you asking this. And I was like, I'm sure he would be. Because he says you've got a really good story with this. And he said, during your college baseball days, did you get to pitch against any good hitters? So like Mo Vaughn? Here we go.
Yeah, I gave up a very, very big home run to Mo Vaughn, who apparently yelled peace when he hit it. It was just, he ended up playing in the pros and for quite a while. Fantastic hitter, good friend of mine was played with him. And if somebody hits a ball, typically for people who don't know baseball, it may be like 300, 325 down the right and left field lines. Dead center might be 400 feet, and that's the outfield. So typically, if somebody hits a ball over that fence, it's a home run.
Yeah.
And if you hit it 400 feet, if it doesn't dead center, it's a home run. And anywhere else in the field, 400 feet, that's a long way to hit a ball. There are some guys who've hit balls 450, 475. There have been people who might hit it, it's tracked to it might have gone 500 feet. Well, in college, they didn't have wood bats. They had metal bats. We used metal. And Mo Vaughn hit one probably, I'm guessing, went 700 feet off me.
Jeez.
It was just, I never professed to being very good. I got to a very high level and I was good enough to get there, but and as he hit it, peace. And it was like one of those, we won the game like 23-1. We set records for how many runs scored in an inning. It was amazing. But all anybody ever remembers is the one run and how far.
Oh God.
It was pretty funny. I can't tell you and I struck everybody out and I was the pitcher of the week. Never. I remember the bad things just because, and maybe not bad, because it certainly wasn't bad for him, but memorable things. I think the memorable ones are the things that kind of stick in your mind. Just doing that kind of stuff. But it was funny because you get, in athletics or any different type of things, it's funny when you do something for so long and then you get around a group of guys who are just better than you. It just, and it was hard at the time, but when I look back, I remember being there all excited. And then, there'd be guys, and I work hard and everything. And there would be guys who would roll into a game after, drinking all night at a bar and they're a little hungover, and they were better than me on their worst day.
Wow.
Than I was. And, it's just, there's just this hierarchy, these levels you get to. I'm very proud that I got to the level I got to, but, I'm so glad of what I get to do now. I thought my whole life, that's what I wanted to do. And my nephew's just been promoted to the major leagues, the highest level of baseball. He's as an assistant hitting coach for the Tampa Rays. And, every day he's traveling the country. They're playing games almost every day, every week. He's living that life in these big ballparks, 40, 50,000 people watching every night. And I went to a game recently. I was in St. Louis, and he was able to call some friends and get me tickets when I was at the con there. And I just thought, this is so exciting, but I love what I do so much more than I would have enjoyed this. And that has kind of well, let's face it, it has a shelf life. You can only play in the Premier League, so you can only play a certain number of years before your skills decline. And that's that. I'm going to do this until I drop. I want to keep doing what I do until I drop. Whether it's in front of the camera or behind a microphone, I don't care. So I'm so happy that I found something that I truly love to do.
Worked out for the better.
Yeah, and so everything kind of happens for a reason, I suppose, in some way, shape, or form. So, but yeah, Rob loves that story. And that's another thing. Just spinning off with Rob Weedoff and Roger Clark, who've become friends of mine. People always ask me, like, what franchise have you never done that you'd love to do? Red Dead.
Red Dead.
Because I love Westerns, and the idea of getting in there and doing that and working with guys like that, they always seem to, they just always seem to do such a great job with that. So.
Well, it's Red Dead's 12th birthday today, and I feel like it's aged so well. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those, but it's a timeless game. People still watch. Some people's favorite Westerns are still Clint Eastwood's spaghetti Westerns that he did in the 60s. Okay. So, think about that. It's 50, 60 years ago, those were made.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood's in his 92 this year.
Yeah. But it's an institution, those things are just Western, sci-fi Westerns. Some things are timeless. And I think that's why, and Red Dead, number one, it's acted so well. It's the design, the mechanics. It's just, think about it. It's done so well. There's no copycat games because nobody's gonna do it as well. So they're like, yeah, screw it. That would be too hard. So that's a hell of a game.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what I was going to say. I got too excited when I heard Red Dead there.
I know you're a big Red Dead fan.
You know that very well.
Yes.
It's weird because, as you said before, like, there's almost like no line between like you as an actor and us as fans, especially at cons. Like, it's kind of like we're all this big community. We all know each other. Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like, I know Rob and Roger so well now, and it's bizarre. So like when I hear them talk about you, I'm like, oh, I know Nolan, and they're like, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, no, it's a small world, like they say.
It really is.
And when you're, there's so many people get, into the conventions, when you get into that convention circuit and people start going, I think of like, I just saw Josh, one of the replayers and Couch Soup members over in St. Louis, and Aaron B and Candace are always showing up. Maria, there's so many. I don't want to upset everybody, because I can't list everybody.
Can't mention everyone.
It's so nice to see so many people come out and say hi. And, and that's the nice thing, I haven't been able to get back to the UK in so long. Tina, James, I don't, I haven't seen them, and they were like a staple. Like, I'm going to be at Birmingham next year, or Manchester, I'm going to try to do all these different conventions, and I always got to see them. And, I don't get to see them. And, there are people that, they're volunteering at the cons and doing stuff, but they're, you become friendly with them, and you look forward to seeing them and talking with them and hanging out a little bit, having a natter, as you guys say. Having a natter.
I know it's really good for all the friendships I made with Retro Replay as well, because Lily Kay messaged me very last minute the other day saying, I know this is crazy and I know you're meant to be stewarding at the con, but my friend cancelled at the last minute. Can you please work at the stall? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I'll be working with her.
Is that London?
In London, yeah.
Great. Yeah, so Lily, is she putting her art? I know she's a great artist. She's
selling her artwork.
Oh, that's great. So
she was like, you need to try and get Nolan to come along. And I was like, I can't promise you, but I could ask.
The Art of Lily Kay. I'll promote it right now. She's an amazing artist. Go check out her booth.
I've got all of her stuff up here.
She's pretty talented.
Yeah, like it's unbelievable. Like, there's just, this whole community is just so talented.
Well, that's one of the reasons that Couch Soup is kind of morphed into what it is, because, with the Retro Replay ending, me moving to Georgia, and just the whole logistics of getting things done, we knew we had created this incredible community and wanted it to live on. So what better way than to give control over to that community? So that's why Couch Soup has become so community-based, with different podcasts, share your art, share your writing, your ideas, stay within the community in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's, I'm glad it's worked out so far, because, you never want to just things to just, well, that's it, bye. It just would be such a shame, is all I'm saying. If it just, well, it's ended, goodbye, done.
Bye.
Yeah. So I'm glad we were able to, keep it alive.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not been so involved in Couch Soup, but I try to read more.
Yeah, you don't have to be. It's not that. I mean, it's just it's the same community that's just been kind of transferred over to that.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's been and I'm sure there's others out there. I love the idea that people can, share their stuff, like you think about like Lily Kay or Maria Kinham, she's these really talented artists. There's been people writing, they're writing blogs, they're writing opinions, and, staying creative, and to think that we were able to put together a creative space for people to kind of go and share that. Just feels good. That's it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was being to ask you, again, going back to the length of your career, you've obviously would have experienced some hardships and like some no's and a lot of kind of like half yeses, I guess, and a lot of hardships. So what advice would you give to somebody, not just an actor, but just a person in general going through those hardships? Well,
first of all, as an actor, my favorite thing to tell people is like, I've studied, I've worked, I know that I'm confident that I'm good at what I do. Just like anybody, if you're a chef, I'm a good chef. I'm working in restaurants. Let's say the restaurant closes. I'm still a good chef. It doesn't mean You know,
Yes.
I will find something else. But as an actor, if anybody's an actor, the thing that people say, how do you deal with the rejection, the negativity? It's like, well, there is no rejection. I never get rejected because I put myself out there. The way I look at it is, it's not that I was bad, it's that somebody else was more right for the role. I know for a fact there were better actors technically than I was who auditioned for Nathan Drake. There were probably better actors, but I was the right fit.
Yes.
Now, for whatever reason, I don't know, but I watched the show last night with a friend of mine was in, and I was up for another one of the roles, guest star roles in the thing. And I told him, I said, you got that job? That's great. I was supposed to play this character. I was me. And like, I was like one of the top choices, but it went to somebody else. And then I saw the role last night, and you just look and you go, oh, I see what they went with.
Yeah.
They went with just this slightly different look. You know, both kind of resemble, you can see how, but I can, it's so hard to kind of understand. But when I looked at him, I went, oh yeah, no, he fits what they were doing overall. See, as an actor, when you audition, you don't know what the rest of the cast looks like. Pretty Little Liars was a show I did for about 7 seasons. And if you go back, one of the reasons I had read for another role and they liked me for that role, but then they made me Peter Hastings because, and they told me this flat out, Troyan Bellisario, who played my daughter, and Leslie Farah, who played my wife, they were like, Nolan and Leslie, if they had a daughter, it would look like Troyan. So we liked these two. So they matched us up because, you know, Troyan and the other girls, they were the heart of the show. But let's say there may have been a better actor who read for Peter Hastings. Better, you know, it's such a weird superlative, but another guy, but if he had red hair or blonde hair and blue eyes,
it wouldn't work.
It just doesn't mean he was bad, but he may have done a great job at his audition, but I fit better.
Yes.
So it's never rejection. So whenever I don't get a role, I go, oh, they found someone else who fits it fits the bigger picture of what's going on. So that as an actor is how I get by it. It's like, no, listen, I give my audition. All I'm responsible is giving them what, as an actor, all any actor is responsible for, because everything is self-tape now through Zooms and stuff. Your job is to go out and give them your interpretation of the material they give you and do it the best that you feel you could do it. So when you press send, you go, I just sent them my take on that. I loved my audition. That's the biggest, I would tell any actor, love your audition. Go do your audition and love it and be like, proud of that. That's all that you've won. You've already won. Getting the job is gravy, but doing that performance and also remember, so this one show I was up for has already contacted my agent and said, we love him. We're going to find a role from an upcoming episode. We'd love to work with him. So it's like, I did a really good job. They went with somebody else that fit that episode. They'd like to have me back sometime. Okay. So you never know. And maybe it won't be that show, but then that producer or that director really likes you. And then you come up on another audition and you go, oh, he read for this show. Yeah, take him. You never know. So always do your best in every audition. Now, quickly to answer your question, if you're not an actor, how do you deal with the ups and downs? The best thing I can say is understand that it's not just you. I think as human beings, we tend to get so self-absorbed and put our blinders on, and it's all about us. You know, you walk into a coffee shop and the person's rude to you and like, why are they so mean to me? What did I ever do to them? Why? Well, maybe that person's boyfriend or girlfriend just broke up with them, and they're not even seeing you. They're like, here's your coffee. And they're like, hey, why are you being so rude to me? And you, because you've taken on, and it has nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. We all have our ups and downs. With no matter how good you know, people say the grass is always greener. No matter how great you think everything's going for someone else, you see them in a magazine or TV, or it just might be your friends. You know, they, oh yeah, it's my new girlfriend or my new boyfriend or whatever, and you're like, gosh, they look so happy, and yet they were fighting 5 minutes before you got there, and a week later you're shocked because they broke up. They're like, yeah, no, it was miserable, and you're like, but you look so happy. We all put on our faces. We all put on our masks every now and then to do things. But I think life is a roller coaster, right? And we all have our highs, we all have our lows. And I think the goal is just keep it on the rails. Just keep it on the rails. And, you know, I'm an optimist, I think. So when I'm down and things are bad, I just kind of go, well, shit, it's got to get better. It's got to know where to go but up right from here.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's how I deal with it. I'm not saying that could work for everybody, but for me, I just think, and no matter how bad it is for you or individually, there's someone in the world that something worse is happening to. It's the human condition. I just heard somebody said, I think it was Patton Oswalt, the comedian, who just said, life is chaos. Just be kind. Life is just chaos. And if you embrace that, I had a friend who used to say, embrace the chaos. There's no rhyme or reason to life. It's just like, we're all just like in this, we're lucky to be, I mean, it's amazing that we have gravity so we don't float off into the atmosphere. Yeah. You know, it's like, if you think about, if we lost that, it's all gone. So we just, jetpacks. Anyway, you know, so, I mean, I just, when things are bad, it's just like, you know what? I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to put on some funny movie or something and try again tomorrow because, you know, and so I think that's, it's a very simplistic attitude. You know, just for the daily struggles, the daily ups and downs. And I will echo something that Zach Levi has talked about. For anybody who's having like serious issues, depression or any kind of issues, you know, don't be embarrassed to seek out help. I've had issues in my life where I've sought out, you know, trying to organize things in my head, and I've sought out a therapist to kind of talk to him and go, so, but because if you hurt your elbow, you go see an elbow doctor, you know, it's like knee, whatever, you're going to go see a doctor. My stomach hurts. Let's see. So if something's bothering your head, go see a head doctor. I mean, it just makes sense. And I think there's a stigma to it. People think, people are going to think I'm crazy. No, it's not that. It's just, so, you know, if the ups and downs of that roller coaster are a little too steep sometimes, don't be afraid to, you know, see someone and talk about just to slow the ride down a little bit and kind of get you. I think the best thing that I've ever gotten from those kind of sessions are all just perspective, just a good, healthy dose of perspective when you can step back from those blinders and somebody can just help you take them off and go, okay. I'm caught up in my own little world. Everything around me is okay. You know, like, because sometimes we hyper focus on our problems.
Oh God, yeah.
And you forget that everything else in your life is good.
Yeah, it's just that one thing.
And it may be as simple as like that little dog that hey, my dog's doing well. I somehow through my fog, I've fed them and loved on them. So, the sun still came up, the grass is still growing. This is, okay. It's, you know, like, again, it's life is chaos. Be kind and understand that it's just, you know, there's no rhyme or reason, and we're all just doing. We're all doing the best we can. It's why I think Nathan Drake and Uncharted was so popular. Here's an ordinary guy who gets thrown into these extraordinary circumstances, which yes was the catchphrase for the first game. One ordinary man, one extraordinary adventure. But I think that's why, because he's the embodiment of, I'm just doing the best I can to get through to the end of this game. That's what we do in life. We're just doing the best we can to get through and leave a mark. leave a mark while we're here, a friendship, something, some people leave a good friendship and a lot of love. Some people leave libraries. I don't know.
But yeah, what you were saying about, sometimes we do have to seek that help, and there's no shame in it. I completely agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been up to date with my sobriety and things like that, but recently I broke it. And for so long I was beating myself up about it, and I'm like, you know what, things are only up and up, and I can't keep focusing on what did happen, and I have to focus on what can happen.
And sometimes it's just awareness. It's just like, I broke it. All right, let's try again. It's like, okay, let's try again. And, whatever is right for you. We're not perfect. We're not perfect beings. But just keep trying to do what's best for you. And then, because if you can that's the other thing that I've kind of learned, and without getting preachy, it's just, if I can make myself happy, I exude happiness to everyone else around me. My wife is a complete empath. She's like she's literally an empath. She just, if I'm in a bad mood and she's in a great mood, by the middle of that day, if I kind of walk around or something like that, she will take on, she'll be like, she literally doesn't even mean to do it. So the more positive and upbeat I am, it generates her mood, and it kind of feeds off each other. And then that mood may go when you go to the grocery store and you just say something, you just a kind word here or there may make someone's day, and that changes and it pays forward. It's just it's that whole, that the laws of attraction, positivity breeds positivity, and negativity breeds negativity. I completely believe that. I don't think that's any kind of hokey, weird. No, it's true. Yeah. It's true. It's just, it's why people say, things just keep getting worse for me. It goes in that cycle, because one negative thing triggers those things, and then you've been in a funk for 2 weeks, and then you're like, something great happens, and then something great happens after that, and then you're out of the funk. Thus, the roller coaster.
Yeah, that's the roller coaster of life.
The ride is a lot smoother if you can just try to. It sounds so Pollyanna, but I really have, my goal in life is trying to stay focused on the present, staying aware of my present, and just trying to find the positive in everything. It could be like, it could be just as simple, I don't even know what, something bad happens, but you're like, well, still, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a beautiful day. And, I'm going to be watching that movie tonight. Got something to look forward to, and I had a great workout, I strained my back a little bit, rather than focus on the strain, go, yeah, but everything else feels really good. It's nothing. I'll just get that, ice it a little bit. Keep positive things going. It helps me. Just that, it just makes life easier, because it just gets heavy sometimes. And it's,
Yeah. Well, something Roger Clark told me, he was like, don't worry too much about the future and don't dwell too much on the past. Just worry about where you are right now, and just
because if you're doing those things, you're missing right now. And now is all that exists. Like if you really want to get deep with this, it's like, well, there's really nothing that's happened, and what's going to happen hasn't happened yet. So that doesn't exist. And that's gone, unless you want to watch it on a videotape. But even if you're watching past things on the videotape, you're watching it in the present.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that happens. So it's so weird. God, we're getting metaphysical now. This
is like one of the most deep interviews I've ever had.
Yeah, with one of the most shallow people you could meet.
Oh no.
I just try to keep things as light and easy, but I think for me, keeping myself in that, or trying, it's a struggle, but just trying to keep yourself in that positive, aware, in the moment headspace makes things easier. It really does. It just kind of makes you go, it's like, I'm not worried. Like I have a million things to do today. Because I'm supposed to be flying out tomorrow. I got a million things to do. But like, you know what? It's like, I have another session after this, and I got just tons of things. But if I start stressing about it, it's going to make it miserable.
Yeah, of course.
But and you talked about it earlier. I had to write this down. I wrote down the things, and when I write it down on a piece of paper and then take that pencil and scratch it off when it's done, is that sense of accomplishment. And it's like, yeah, but it's like now I have something I can visually look at and go, yeah, got that done. And if I can get to that last thing and they're all checked off, oh, dinner tastes so much better.
Oh my God, yes.
Just it's like, I'm going to sleep so much better because
pie.
yeah. But what did I do? I created a positive outcome and I felt good about it. Yeah. So, and it's just, it's so stupid, but so simple.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What's that? KISS, right? KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Not stupid, simple.
Well, keep it stupid, simple, stupid. I don't know. Add an extra S in there.
Yeah, why not? Well, one question that I really want to ask you, and I don't think you could give too much away, but have you got any projects upcoming?
I can't tell you any things like that. I can tell you, there's things like, I think a lot of recurring things like Knights of the Old Republic still seems to be on track. I think Guild Wars is still on track. We're still recording episodes, season 7 of Blaze and the Monster Machines. There's nothing exciting to report just yet. And I probably couldn't tell you if I wanted to, but as you know, there's so many NDAs. Everybody's so paranoid that their secrets are going to be given away. It's like, it's not that big a secret. So no, I can't say too much.
That's okay.
But when it's time, I'll let everybody know.
Well, I don't think I've ever told you this story, but I got to interview Gabriel Luna for because he was talking about The Last of Us and he was going to play Tommy in The Last of Us series, and I got really excited and he gave me the chance to interview him just while I was at MCN London, and we were sitting together and we had this interview. It was really exciting, and then I was watching it over. All of a sudden my video started blowing up and I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened here. And he's like, Kay, he messaged me, he said, Kay, you need to delete a part of this video. And I said, why? And he was like, I've revealed something that I really shouldn't have. And I looked back and it's literally 2 seconds of footage that I had to delete. But I'm like, those 2 seconds of footage could have got him in deep shit.
Really? What can you say what it was now? What was?
No, I still can. I might tell you when we're finished recording because it's probably not a big deal, but it's, I guess, to like Last of Us fans it is. But
oh wow.
Yeah. Wow. I legitimately, I was waiting for my train to go home and I was shitting myself the whole time after. I was like, I'm going to get in so much trouble if this stays up. No. Actually, you wouldn't get in trouble. I mean, it'd be really on him. But yeah, the funny thing is that's why when people ask, like, what do you, I mean, I remember one time where offhandedly at a con, I said, yeah, maybe they'll do something like that in Last of Us 2, someday maybe they'll bring back David in Last of Us 2. That'd be cool. Something joking, just whatever. The next day it blew up. Nolan North confirms Last of Us 2 because apparently they were working on Last of Us 2. I didn't even know that. Oh no.
I just assumed that, well, they'll make a Last of Us 2. Of course they will. They made a ton of money. I'm sure they're going to make another one. So, but because of, I just guess I didn't think it was a big deal. I'm like, well, I didn't say they're making one. I'm just saying I just assumed that they probably would.
Offhand comment.
It seems, oh my gosh, Naughty Dog, Sony's calling me. It's like, you can't say it. We got to bring it back. And I'm like, I didn't say that. They're like, well, you did say this. I'm like, yeah, and people but I kind of innocently didn't realize that because was so ingrained with Naughty Dog for so long. It was Nathan Drake. And so everyone just assumed that I have inside information. I'm like, nobody tells me anything. So it's like, no, I wasn't confirming Last of Us 2. it's just, it just seemed like what anybody would say. It's like, well, yeah, maybe, yeah. Like if I said, yeah, I'll probably have to have a walker in Uncharted 5.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's an Uncharted 5. I'm just saying if there were an Uncharted 5, Drake would be in a walker. But you say it offhandedly. That's what you mean. Anyway, it's just.
I know it's crazy. Just some things that come out of context. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for the chat. It's been great. I know it's been dark at some points, but hey, I mean, you're used to tangents.
Absolutely. No, I love having a good talk, and I mean, it's what I like about conversation. It goes off on all kinds of different tangents. I don't know if anybody learned anything new or anything, but I don't think anybody expects to learn anything from me anyway, unless it's just like a little grain here and there that I picked up usually from other people. But no, it's been a pleasure because we've talked about this for so long, and I'm like, oh no, I promise I'm going to get to it. Life gets, as you know, just crazy. Yeah, it gets crazy. So I'm glad we could have this talk, and I look forward to seeing you and everybody else in the UK soon.
Well, I'll be seeing you in London for sure.
Yes, London.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's good. I haven't been back. It was kind of on a last minute addition, but I'm glad they had me because I just love the city so much. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, Nolan, thank you so much. You're such a great guy. I can't wait to give you a hug again in person.
Well, we'll see you.